What's up, everyone? Welcome to the What's Your Five podcast, episode 11. 11. Yes, I like 11. I'm very excited because I get to introduce a new gaming host that's going to be a resident gaming host for the show, which is super cool. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to say thank you guys again very much for listening, viewing, and all that stuff. You guys have at least one more week to enter our anime giveaway, which was announced last week with our previous episode with Vampy Bit Me, our cosplayer and lover of anime. If you guys are wanted to watch that show, please do give us a like, give us a subscribe, all that good stuff. Today's episode is going to be focusing on top 5 video game music OSTs, or original soundtracks, and this is going to be really cool because the person I'm actually introducing today, the person that's going to be doing the gaming hosting for this time being, is actually the person that got me into buying vinyl records in the first place. Moving forward, for the next few episodes at least, we're going to be going ahead and be focusing on more of a gaming content focused arena or focused topics, which again, we're starting it off right now with the video game, top 5 video game OSTs. That doesn't mean that Anthony's not part of the show. That doesn't mean that he's, gone away forever. If he did, I'd be super duper sad. But he's going to be working behind the scenes, making this podcast way better than I would. So don't worry about it. He'll be fine. You guys can always reach out to him at topics@whatsyour5.com. Trust me. Or if you want to suggest any topics, that's how you're going to do it, through topics@whatsyour5.com. Or you can reach out to any of our social media platforms. What's your _5? Again, that's what's your _5. You can reach us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. So with that out of the way, I am ready to go ahead and show you guys at least one more time the prize for the anime giveaway, which is right here, I think. Yes, right there in the focus. Again, this is for our YouTube viewers. You can see that it is the Extreme versus Gundam Fight Stick for PS3. For our listeners on Spotify, Apple Music, and other podcast platforms, you will actually be able to hear that is a Gundam Extreme versus Fight Stick, which is a pretty rare stick, only released in Japan. Again, if you guys want to enter the contest, just click on the link on the description below. Like and subscribe, do all that good stuff. You'll be able to get a chance to actually win this product, and I will ship it to you for free. How cool is that? And all you got to do is just click the links and subscribe. What's so wrong about that? I mean, you guys should be able to listen to my voice and my new gaming host voice, which would be super dope. He's an IT professional working in San Diego. He and I actually worked together for about 4 years, and what's funny is that he lives in the same area that I lived in growing up in San Diego, which is southeast San Diego. So realistically, we could have crossed paths, but I guess we never did. What was funny is that when we started working, my other coworker, Mark, shout outs to him because he's one of my best coworkers of all time, along with this person. But when I first met him, it wasn't even meeting him. I actually went to lunch at the lunchroom, and I was talking to somebody who I thought was this person. It turned out it wasn't him. And then my host walked in out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, that's who you are. And then from there, we found out that he loved Final Fantasy VII, and it just kind of just blew up from there. And we just talked about games all the time. And, he got me into this video game OST obsession on vinyl. So I love him, but I hate him. It's kind of like Fat Bastard in that sense. Like, I hate him because I buy vinyl, but I love him because I love vinyl. It's a vicious circle. Anyway, you can reach him over at on Instagram at JoelFrrr. That's 3 R's. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome JoelFrrr to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up? Thanks, Riddell. Thanks for having me. I kind of feel like our 6 years or so of friendship is now tainted. Now that I know the story of my my misrepresentation of the stranger, but good to be on, man.
So just so you know, and he might be listening later on in life, I'm sure, but it was Lyndon.
Hey, Could be worse. Could be, you know.
It could have been totally worse. But I remember very clearly because he was sitting down in the lunchroom, and Mark and I were, we sat down, and Mark started talking to him, and then I was trying to talk to him about video games and stuff, and then I think later on he's like, "I'm not Joel." I'm like, "Oh man," I felt so silly after that. Oh man. So how are you doing, man? How's everything going?
I'm doing awesome. I was gonna say I like Halo, but Lyndon, he is a huge Halo fan,
Oh, that's right.
and
Yeah.
his fandom far eclipses mine. So at
Oh,
least that didn't get too far from the starting point. But no, I'm doing great, man. How are you
good.
doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Man, I did a lot of like garage stuff today, like cleaned out a bunch of stuff, and it's a never ending process, man. And I don't know how you do it. I mean, you have a home, which is great. I just have like my little, my rental here, and I'm just,
Dude,
it's a nightmare.
I was talking to a buddy about, so ever since quarantine started,
Mhm.
more time at home. So I'm just
Right.
getting back into the pour over coffee.
Right.
And my buddy was like, step one, yeah, grounds are cool. I don't, the Keurig cup is way more expensive, but
Right.
beans are where it's at. I'm like, oh, dude, I have a grinder. It's in my garage. I've only lived here for 2 years, so still have about a third of my kitchen packed away in the garage, and 2 cars. So I'm pretty proud about that.
Hey, at least you're able to, pack some stuff inside your garage. I do not have that space at all. None. So that's cool though, man. So again, we met at work, and then we started talking about games, but it wasn't until you introduced me to what was it? I remember it was book club or game club as we like to call it, for Persona 5. That was the first time that I remember you telling me like, "Hey, you should play this game. It's really fun." And I was like, "I don't know if I really want to play high schoolers. I don't know if it's my jam."
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I played it, I'm like, "Okay, he was right."
Are we so? Are we having a is there a spoiler warning before these, or is it if you're
No,
if
I
you're
don't think so.
subscribed,
Well, you're
you're ready
subscribed.
to go?
You're ready to go, man. I mean, obviously, you got to understand. Listening to this show, you got to understand that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is super duper subjective, right? So, and if you like what you're listening to, you should know already that a lot of this stuff is already past, right? It's not like you know, it's not like Iron Man's gonna snap the finger and be like, "Oh no, I said that Iron Man's gonna snap the finger in Avengers." Whoops, like, nothing like that.
That is one benefit. Me and Riddell are both family men, so we are not cutting edge. We will not spoil a brand new game for you, so no concerns there.
No, in fact, what was it? What was the last game you played? Was Horizon, right?
Horizon Zero Dawn, which I believe is 3 years old.
Yeah.
I started Ghost, so that's a fairly new one, but
Yeah.
People who got it on release beat it months ago. So
it beat it months ago. Now they're playing the update, right? Because I mean the update came out where it's like Ghost of Tsushima Legends, where you can actually do I think it's PvE. I think you can do team up or you guys can play against each other. I don't know. It's far beyond my control.
I don't know the details. And as you'll learn from me as I go forward, I'm not a social gamer, really. I actually got an invite this morning. I was like, I'm just trying to do a side quest, man. I don't want to do Legends. I just want to get the side quest done and turn off my PS4. But
so, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's one thing I've always been curious about. So,
sure,
everybody knows that I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. So I'm huge Street Fighter fan. Play Street Fighter. In fact, I'm trying to rank up again, leveling up another character for no reason at all. And Joel and I were talking about it, and his Street Fighter is Madden. I always want to know, did you ever play Madden online?
So I don't mind playing online, but I only play online with people I know. The only time I really played online was a few friends of mine had a online franchise. It is as nerdy as it sounds.
Sure.
Where we drafted teams, we had schedules, we had to coordinate with the person that we would play them.
Right.
That's and then I dabbled a little bit when I was really, really into it, but
right.
Not really. I'm not really an online gamer.
Right.
And that's why I think Mark made a great point on one of your last episodes where I think you'll see me and Riddell differ. Where I'm not really a fighting game guy. It's definitely more of a more of the focus of the designs on the gameplay. So it's more of a competition in the box.
Right.
But yeah, Madden Online, it was only franchise with people I know, and it lasted about 4 weeks, and we just got tired of scheduling matches every week.
That's terrible. I mean, but then I mean, what was this? I mean, was this? I don't know if I would say pre-iPhone, right? I mean, like you had calendars, right? Like you can set up your.
Oh yeah, it was it wasn't when I was in college, not to date myself. So pre 20 teens, let's say
Okay,
that.
pre-20 teens. Okay, got it. I just, the only reason why I asked is because there is crazy. I mean, you got televised Madden tournaments, right? And you just, I just remember, I remember watching one, always when, there was a, I think it was like a 2-on-2, right? So it was a 2 people per team,
Mhm.
and the guy got so pissed at his team member, and he was just like, "Hey man, why are you running cover 2?" And I'm just like, "Whoa, cowboy, hold on a second. It's not just I mean, it's just defense. It's okay. It's not a big deal." He just went off on his teammate. I'm like, dude, that's messed up, man. Like you can't do that, man. It's your teammate. That's part of the game, but it's
Not to offend, but I think 2Kers are worse. NBA 2Kers. They get like in your face. Well, it's TV, it's drama, but
right.
they talk
They
they
talk a
talk
lot of
smack
smack.
that I expect to hear on the actual basketball court, not sitting in a chair with the controller.
I can't imagine like, "Ooh, you got spun up, man. That X button really helped you out there." you know. I don't know. That's crazy, man. But I always wondered whether or not you were you were a competition guy, at least online, because I know you played Madden, or you at least bought Madden every year for how many years now? Like 11 billion. That's how long
I've had every Madden
Oh,
since 2003.
oh my God.
Until this year, I did not buy this year's Madden.
Wow. They did not get your money, huh?
They did not.
EA didn't get their monies from you.
Yeah, and it's funny. It got to a point where when I was broke, I would like user create all the rookies
Oh,
and then buy it when it was cheaper. And then I ended up just giving EA money every year. So I'm trying to
dang.
break that trend.
I know, man. But then, they got the whole what was it? The EA Play, right, on Xbox. That's kind of a,
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think the turning point for me is they're definitely about the whole loot crate, make your own team thing now.
Oh, that's right.
And franchise mode, which is what I like, hasn't changed in like 4 years. So
Everybody loves that mode though. They're like, "Oh man, it's like the way to play." And I'm like, "No, man. I mean, I guess maybe because I'm just not a sports person. Like
sure.
I mean, I like watching football. I like watching basketball, go Lakers. Yay. But it just, like I said, it's not something that I play consistently, at least out in the field. And I know you were, ex-football player. You were so I mean, I couldn't do it, man. I can't understand half the stuff that's going on. I mean, I know a slant. I think a cover 2 means that you're covering the top.
Two safeties.
2 safeties. Okay.
Two safeties.
Oh, then there you go. There you go. So cool deal, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to do this. Even though I kind of arm hold you there, but I do appreciate it. And again, I don't think my wife really appreciates you with my video game vinyl obsession now that you've totally brought on. And to that note, I do want to say that the part of, I mean, I think you guys know episode 0, you guys realized that Anthony and I came up with this idea with What's Your Five because, I bought a record player and, the person that made me buy this record player is that guy right there. And so, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just give you some vinyl. It's cool, man. Not a big deal." I'm like, "Oh, it's so nice of you." And then I'm like, "Oh, great. Now I'm like $300-400 in the hole. Great. Thanks." So, so it's him, just so you know, you guys have a face now, so you guys can blame him. But I do thank you. It's super cool. In fact, you guys can probably see a little bit in the background right there with Super Mario 3, which again, he was very generous enough to provide at some point, which I really appreciate. So with that going in there, what I do want to do is I think you are familiar with the show, Joel.
I am, yes.
So you should know that you are definitely subjected. Yep, that's right, to the Rapid Five. Now, one of the things that Anthony told me that he he pointed out last episode, he's like, "Hey man, like how come you're giving Linda like how much how many seconds to to answer these questions?" I'm like, good point. So I shouldn't call it Rapid Five, but I'm going to do it anyways. I do have a Rapid Five for you. I do have some tailor-made questions for my buddy here, and I'm pretty excited because these are certain things that I think I know, but I'm not exactly sure. So, Joel, are you ready for it?
Yes, I believe the spirit of the contest here, it's like word association. So, right?
Yeah, just keep going. Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep going.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Question number 1. Who is your Final Fantasy waifu?
Tifa.
Okay. All right. Good deal. If you were stuck on an island and you can only have one game console, no backwards compatibility, by the way, and it can't be an emulator, what would it be?
PC doesn't count.
PC does not count.
It'll be a Switch.
Oh wow. Okay. Good answer.
All
right.
Back play from Square.
Jerk. Let's see here. Okay. Question number 3. Would you rather get punched by a UFC fighter in the face or take a slap shot to the chest by a hockey player? By a
punch to the face.
Oh wow! You wouldn't want to get you wouldn't want to get.
I think slap shot would kill me. So disfigured, I guess, over
this
death.
Wouldn't. Here you go. This one. I had to think about this one. Then I realized I don't know what you would choose, but favorite Disney protagonist.
Ooh, Woody.
Yes. Here, God. You said Woody?
Woody.
Wow. Okay, Woody. Good old Tom Hanks. All right, that's my man. All right, good deal.
Loyalty, man. Loyalty is a big one.
Loyalty is a big one, man. Yeah, he was all about the friendship, man. Absolutely, man. He doesn't leave any toy behind. This is very true. And finally, the last question on the Rapid 5 is, what's the best summon in any Final Fantasy?
Ooh.
Yes. I got him.
I'm going to choose a weird one because of it's a game that isn't very well liked. So it's not the actual summon, but it's the perks that come with it. I'm going to pick Diablos from Final Fantasy VIII because it has awesome junctions. I know Riddell is crying right now because he hates that game.
I hate Final Fantasy VIII. I cannot stand that game.
He had Mug, he had HP Plus, he had HP Junction, and it was really early in the game. So and he did percent damage because it was Demi. So
yeah. And
pretty OP in the beginning.
He was very OP in the beginning. I did start playing it in the remake that they made for Switch, and then I turned on cheater mode because I just couldn't handle grinding in that game or picking junctions 10 million times and all this other stuff. I just couldn't do it, man. And then
it's good. You just gotta give it a chance.
So Junction was
a real chance.
No, Junction was okay. It's the characters were just babies, man. Like they were just all babies. It just really was. Oh, Squall with this. Oh, I'm too cool for school. I don't like you. And like Renault's like, no, you should like me. Dance with me. And I'm like, no. Like this is no.
I mean, they are 17, Riddell, so I think technically they are children.
They don't look 17. I mean, what was it? Who was hot for teacher? It was Keistis.
She's 19.
No, she's not 19. Was she?
She's 19. Yep. They're all 17. Cypher, Safer, however you want to say his name, is 18. I believe Quistis was 19. Yes, I know this stuff because the manuals that came with games back in the day. Who remembers those?
Oh, that's right.
Like my favorite reads.
Real? Oh wow. Man, I remember one time. So one of my best friends, before we became best friends, he had we met in 8th grade. He had the Earthbound strategy guide. Now, granted, just mind you guys, the Earthbound strategy guide now, in its current form, if it was in pristine condition, which he would have kept it at had I not grabbed it, would have been close to about $500 to $600 easy with the game. I borrowed it one time and my little brother tore the hell out of that thing, and ever since then I felt so bad. Until this day, I'm sorry, George, but I really feel bad about your Earthbound strategy guide. So
you're one of those, man. I had the unofficial Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. You guys have seen the poster. I'm sure it's a pretty tall poster.
Yeah.
Best strategy guide for Final Fantasy VII. A friend named Ricky borrowed it, couldn't find it, and substituted the official strategy guide from Square that was far inferior.
Wait, was that but Play Online wasn't on there at the time. No, that was Final Fantasy 9. Like I don't know if did you. Yeah.
The unofficial one was Brady.
Oh, it was Brady. Okay. Yeah, because I remember Final Fantasy 9 had the strategy guide for it, but it was the worst strategy guide ever from Square because all it kept doing was popping ads in the magazine about Play Online, which is like the online service. I was like, no, terrible. I was a huge Final Fantasy 11 fan. Don't get me wrong, which is what Play Online was about. But I was like, man, that is terrible. It was a horrible strategy guide. Anyway, I digress. So thank you very much for participating in the Rapid Five, Joel. You have successfully answered all the questions in somewhat successive time. Not like my other guests, but it's okay. You don't have to do it anymore, but we'll continue from there. So let's get to it, man. I'm ready.
Go.
So just so you guys know, the topic this evening or the topic this episode is going to be top 5 video game soundtracks all time. Now, one of the things I do want to say is my list. Again, this goes back to most every list. Is if I was stuck on an island, if I was in space on Mars, like Matt Damon was, and all I had to listen to were these 5 albums, this is what I would play. So just keep that in mind. So you are the guest of this show, and you are the guest this show. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to have you start. Now, I'm sorry. One more thing I wanted to say was I am actually ranking mine this time around. So I'm going from 5 to 1. So just so you know.
Sweet.
So Joel, welcome to the show. What is your number 5 on What's Your 5?
So number 5 for me is going to be TMNT 4 Turtles in Time.
Hey-o. Hey.
So I do want to preface this. I broke the What's Your 5 rules, and I made rules for myself. Loose rules.
Okay.
It's a funny thing before I go into it. Riddell texted me about this, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then like 4 hours later, I was like, oh, I have my 5. And he was like, are you sure? And because, that's a pretty quick turnaround.
Right.
So I had these rules, or else I wouldn't be able to really do this real quick.
Okay.
So for me, rule A, have to have completed the game.
Okay.
So
okay. All right.
Being in the vinyl community, VGM vinyl community, I've learned about a lot of OSTs. That
shout outs to the vinyl game community on Facebook. Shout outs to them.
Yep, those guys are awesome. Games like Silver Surfer, ActRaiser, I know they're good. The soundtracks are awesome. I'll never play them. Sorry.
You're
and the games I never finished.
I
know. It's one of my wife's favorite games. And then games I'll never finish, probably. Nier, sorry. It's gone.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, I put like 5 hours in. I know it's a 200+ hour game.
Yeah.
OSTs are awesome, but I never finished them. So they can't be on this list.
Okay. I like it. Yeah.
That was my rule 1. My rule 2 was try to be diverse. We'll see how far that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turtles in Time. 5.
Yeah, so Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time. So I picked this one because it really combines 2 of my favorite things. Riddell knows I'm a huge TMNT fan, and I'm also a huge fan of coin-sucking arcade games. And Turtles in Time was definitely one of them. Let's go with the... it was a port, so I guess we'll go with the SNES version because that's the one I actually grew up with. The reason I chose this was when, if you're a non-gamer,
right,
and you hear the term video game music, this is the kind of music you expect, right? You expect 8-bit, old school, synthy, you expect that kind of music.
Yep.
And this is that kind of music, but it's dope. And it's unapologetic, and it's awesome. It's high energy, upbeat. It can never go out of style.
Right.
The way I phrase this, and it popped in my head immediately when I was thinking about it. This is an album that I would play at like you're gonna laugh, a normal social party, and not like a nerd party, not like a gaming party, right? A regular party,
right?
And I actually think it would do fine. It's upbeat, it's energetic.
So you mean to tell me then that if we had a fantasy football draft party, you would jam this out?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And just okay. I will agree to that to some respect. I played Turtles in Time, and it was actually I actually played Turtles in Time with Joel one time when we were. It was like one of those day before holiday work days where like nobody's working, So we're just kind of just chilling out and just waiting for the clock to go down. And so I busted out this SNES Mini, popped it in, and I never realized how competitive this man was at this game or at arcade fighters in general until I played with him. He like took every single person from me, and then he would give me the pizza, because I'm low in life, but he's like super high in life. I don't know how, and he always had the highest score. I don't know how he did it. Like I really don't. It's ridiculous.
The trick is the Donatello reach. and poaching.
Yeah.
You were Delph beating up one guy, and I'll run over and whack him once to get the point. But you know, when it comes to games, man, scoreboard all that matters. So
Yeah, that's not me, man. It's like I want to beat the guy. I don't want to beat his score.
So one thing I did add to my list, Riddell, I am
that?
awful with track lists, track names.
Okay.
I know songs when I hear them, and I know what stages they're in.
Yep.
So I made an effort to at least write one official track of my favorite of each OST.
Okay.
Alley Cat Blues, man.
Alley Cat
Such
Blues.
a good song.
Good deal. Yeah. I think that was, which stage was that? That wasn't the sewer. That wasn't the sewer stage with my.
No, that was when you fight the Robo Turtle at the end.
That was Metalhead.
Metalhead. Yep.
Yeah, I know my turtles. I like it, man, dude. This is good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay, good. So Alley Cat Blues and Turtles in Time, SNES version. Let's put it that way.
Let's go with SNES version. Yep.
Gotcha. Cool deal. Great pick. Again, that's definitely not one of my favorite arcade fighters for sure. Arcade beat 'em ups. Not necessarily something that I would pick, but that's like I said, I love the diversity here. So I've told this to you and the Video Game Vinyl Group and other folks all the time. My number 5 for this list is going to be UN Squadron SNES version. I've told everybody and their mother that this game is the game is good, right? It's a shooter. It's a airplane shooter that you play. You play 3 pilots and they all have different abilities. It's one of the first launch titles of the Super Nintendo, and when you play the game and you play the music in the game, it's so good. Like you feel like you're actually flying the plane, and like, oh, it's so cool, and like you're trying to fight this bomber and all this other stuff. And this first song and the first stage of the game was really, really good. Unfortunately, I do not know the name of the track, so one up on you, Joel. But I definitely truly felt that UN Squadron was definitely one of my favorites. I remember sending this to you at one point. I'm like, yeah, you remember playing this? He's like, no.
Is it one of the top down? Like,
no, it's not. It's side scrolling. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's side scrolling. Yeah, for sure. So I loved it, man. I still play it. In fact, whenever I play like my emulators or whatever, if I have if I just have 10 minutes to kill, I'll just pop it on, man. That's so good to play it. I wish somebody would press the damn vinyl. Anybody, please. So, but that's my number 5. Again, just beautiful soundtrack up and down. Again, very synthy, but it just has cool like guitar riffs in the background, and like it just goes well with all the different stages in the game. So I loved it. And and one of the things that I talked about this in a couple episodes before about the music is, it invokes a feeling, right? That's what gets me. And that OST for UN Squadron invoked that feeling of, man, it just feels so good to play it. I remember every single part about it, like shooting different planes down or different ships down, whatever. It's just so good. That was my number 5.
I'm glad you brought that up, Riddell. I deleted it from my notes, but that was one point that why I wanted that constraint of games that I completed. Having a great OST and it being like it's great solo, it's
right.
Like it's good. It's good. It's a great thing. But it's like having a good a favorite musical artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. What makes VGM OST special is it calls back on you playing the game, right?
Yes.
You have that emotional tie to when that soundtrack played.
Yep.
The hours you spent in it, the emotions you felt, and that's when things click. It's not just good music; it's good music with with feeling behind it.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, you guys heard it before in my last podcast. You guys realize that it's all about invoking those feelings. And there's people that collect VGM, which again, there's nothing wrong. Okay, just so you guys know, there's nothing wrong with people collecting video game vinyl, just like Joel and myself that purchased a vinyl and not played the game. There's nothing wrong with buying the vinyl or listening to music. The music is music, and music's great. Don't get me wrong. But for me personally, when I buy music like that, or if I listen to something like that, I have to, I have to either play the game, beat the game, or have some type of feeling behind the game, in order for me to get it. I can't just be like, oh, here's Undertale, I'm just gonna buy it, or like, here's Celeste, like, yeah, it's great, but I don't know, I guess. I mean, it sounds cool, but I'm not, I'm not gonna bump it in my car, So
disclaimer: I own both those vinyls. I didn't finish either.
Of course you do.
They're good, but I never, I never finished them.
Everybody loves that dang Undertale album. I don't
I
know what
played
it
like
is.
30 minutes and I was like, not for me.
Not for me
Sorry,
either.
Undertale fan.
You know what it is, dude? I think it's a lot. Like, did you play Earthbound?
No.
See, that's the thing. Like, and Linda, Vampy, the person I had on the last show, is gonna kill me because that's like one of her favorite games. Like, never played it. I mean, I played it, but like it's like for like 5 minutes. Like, it was never. I never got into it. The graphics just never got to me. But my buddy George, he loved it. Like, everybody loves this game. Not for me, So, and everybody's do the same thing. On the flip side, like I love Persona 5. Everybody's like, why do you like that game so much? It's like, well, it's one of the best games I ever played. You should play it. And they're like, nah, again, like I don't want to play high schooler, but then like who knows, right? So, all right, number 4, Joel.
For
what do
me,
you got?
So
Yes.
I think my last 4 will be semi-controversial. So we'll see the arguments in the comments down below if you're on YouTube.
Yeah.
But my number 4 is going to be Donkey Kong Country on the SNES. So
props to you
fans out there. You might notice this is not the Moonshake Donkey Kong Country vinyl. I have not been able to get that. This is a remix vinyl from a company called Cartridge Splendor. Not sponsored, so sorry I don't have a link. But it's awesome. I think they have it in stock, so get it if you have a chance. So Donkey Kong Country.
Wow.
The reason I prefaced this with controversy, better OST than Super Mario World, and nearly equivalent in terms of gameplay. So
wait. I think I gotta stop the recording here. I think I just lost one of my best friends here. Did you wait? I think I heard this right. You said better OST. You didn't say. You said better for sure. I heard you say you said better OST than Super Mario World. Did you also say better gameplay, or did you say similar?
I would say they're not quite 1A, 1B. I'll give it to Super Mario World,
right.
But Donkey Kong Country is 2 and a very, very close 2. I know Super Mario World held the belt of best launch title for what, 20
plus years,
30
yeah,
until Breath of the Wild came out. That took the belt. Some may argue Wii Sports, but we'll stick with real games and we'll see.
Yeah, real games. Not tech demos. Continue.
So Super Mario World held the launch title trophy for a long, long time.
Right.
It's an awesome game, one of my wife's favorite games,
and
it's a smidge better than Donkey Kong Country when it comes to gameplay. But the OST, to me, there's no comparison.
That's poppycock.
All right. So the reason. So this is what's your 5, not what's the 5, right? So what's your 5 is the title of this podcast. So
that's right. You're absolutely right.
So Donkey Kong Country. The reason I love it so much, it is versatile as hell. So it's jungly. It's like a jungle synth, kind of a jazz in there.
Right.
You'll hear some animal calls, and that's cool for the first 2 levels.
Right.
And then you'll get some industrial because if you played the game at all, these crocodiles come and take over the island. They start putting factories and stuff.
Yep.
You'll get industrial. You'll get snow stage. You'll get forest stages, and every song actually sounds like it's equivalent to the environment.
Right.
And it has such a unique sound. I don't. So let's filter this by saying only worldwide /US releases. Okay. I don't recall there being a music game made for Mario. Was there
a music game made for Mario?
There was a drum game on Donkey Kong Country for Wii.
That's right. Yep.
So that's how good this music is. They needed a dedicated game with the drum feel, right? Another controversial statement here. It has the best underwater theme of any game ever.
I hated that level.
It's a song called Aquatic Ambiance. It's I could listen to it like getting a massage. I could listen to it in the elevator. It's so calming. It's like a lo-fi EDM kind of feel.
Oh my god!
But best underwater anthem, in my humble opinion.
So what you're telling me is that the next time I go get a massage at some shady ass place, that I'm going to go ahead and ask for Aquatic Ambiance when
on loop.
On loop. Got it. Wow, man, Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong Country. People argue that 2 is better, but it's too piratey for me. I like one pirate song, which I think Donkey Kong Country has one pirate song.
Right.
So original for me.
Dude, props to you though for beating that game. I think I beat that game at some point, but damn, dude, that game was hard as hell, man.
Don't use Donkey. His mechanics suck. His hitbox is way too large,
Uh-huh.
and his controls are really spotty.
Right.
Essentially, use him to get Diddy back, and then switch back to Diddy.
Gotcha.
Pro tip.
So did you purchase the game or did you rent it like everybody else at Blockbuster?
I owned it.
Okay, good deal. I always rented it. I rented it a few times actually. The game was great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that by any means. Don't think that by any means that the game was terrible. The game was fantastic. I noticed a little trend here with Super Nintendo so far, but for the most part, it was a really great game in that respect. I hated that damn water level, by the way. The stupid what was it? The swordfish. That dude. That was the level, right?
You get the swordfish.
Right.
Are the octopi what turned you off on that?
You know what it is, dude? It's just water levels in general. Like
after the dam level, right? You're just scarred for life.
I'm just scarred, man. Or like, dude, or not even that. Or I'm playing the new Super Mario 35 right on Switch, and sometimes it'll be like the water level where you have to go, back and forth. I don't have any fire flowers, man. I can't beat the bloops, and I'm just like, I'm like dead. I'm like, damn, like stupid swimming levels. God.
One prop that I will give Super Mario World. I've never had as much anxiety as that water stage with the puffer fish with the needles.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to run from them.
Yeah.
And then the dolphins come in and start like pushing you back.
Mm-hmm.
That I probably lost a year of my life back when I was 9 years old playing that stage.
You sure it wasn't the sun chasing after you in part 3?
No, I think the puffer fish was worse in my opinion.
Good deal. All right, cool deal. So Donkey Kong Country, aquatic ambiance. Got it. For my number 4 is pretty much a no-brainer because it's one of the best chiptune soundtracks on the planet. And if anybody tries to deny this from me, I will fight you to the end. It is Mega Man 3, hands down. Yeah, it's too good. Mega Man 3, especially Shadow Man stage where it just has that. Oh, so good. Again, invoke the feelings. I remember as a kid borrowing this game and then buying the game afterwards, after I borrowed it, mind you. And, if anybody knows playing a Mega Man game, once you beat it once, you're kind of done with it. It's not like you have to do it again. There's nothing afterwards that you're going to be, claiming on unless you're doing like a speed run or something, which is like way later in life, right?
I was going to say a no powers run or something.
Yeah, no power run, like just Buster only type of deal. But the music in that game was so good. And, I would have said Mega Man 2 because I love Mega Man 2. And that reminds me of, my days in Hawaii playing Nintendo with my brothers. And we were actually the only ones that owned Mega Man 2 on the entire island, which, which is kind of cool. But, Wily Stage 1 on Mega Man 2 was awesome. But as a whole, with Mega Man 3, the music was just on a whole different level, man. Just a lot of different tracks. There was not one track on there that wasn't just nearly good. Everything was just like top tier. Every single level was just so good. And again, the gameplay was really done well, except for the fact that because it was hitting the limitations on the Super Nintendo, it was kind of slow down. It's all over the place. But I mean, what can you do, right? But I thought that the Mega Man 3 soundtrack was just by far one of the best chiptune soundtracks on Nintendo ever made. Like plain and simple. And I remember I actually bought the entire Mega Man 1 through 11, or what is it, 1 through 10? No, 1 through 11, 1 through 10 collection just for those two. I mean, I'm glad I got the rest of them, but at the same time, I'm like, I needed that. I'll spend X amount of dollars to get that vinyl set, and so it was definitely worth it. I've played it numerous times.
It's a testament how many official and in your mom's attic releases have been made for the Mega Man series as a whole.
Yeah.
I've played at friends' house. I've never owned Mega Man games. I borrowed Mega Man X for like a year from a buddy. Sorry, Edson.
Did you ever beat it? That's the question.
No, I didn't.
Oh my god! What's wrong with you?
It's one of those games where I think I personally would need a guide. I know. I'm sorry. But it's funny story. I know Riddell brought up our coworker Mark in the beginning of the podcast. He actually turned me on to Mega Man music because he had played in our IT lab.
Oh wow!
I'd be like, oh, I'm a fan of 8-bit music. He's like, oh yeah, I have like the whole Mega Man OST here, like all the games, and I'm like, sweet, rock on, let's turn up the volume. It's no one's here, so
nice.
That's when I became a fan. This was 2012, 2013. So
wow,
shout out to Mark.
Shout outs to Mark, man. I love that guy. Wow. So that's kind of crazy. So you played Mega Man X, which is actually has a pretty good soundtrack too. Nothing nearly as good as 3, but it was really good. But you weren't really a big fan of Mega Man games then.
I was not. I was gonna say, I think I think our friendships are just going to take a lot of hits in this episode, Riddell. The only Mega Man, my favorite Mega Man, and the only Mega Man that I believe that I beat was Mega Man Legends 1. And it was an awesome game. It was one of my favorite PSX games.
That would not hit our friendship just because of the fact that that's one of the games I actually never played.
Oh, it's so good.
I know. I heard everybody says it. They're like, oh my god, like Mega Man Legends is so good. When's part 2? Or no, when's part 3 coming out? And I'm like,
yeah, part 3.
I'm like, but I heard it was really good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I should try and play it, but I don't know if it, held up, and that's one of the things in these future episodes I want to bring up is that there's going to be times where, you get these games and you're like, do these hold up now? like does Final Fantasy 7 non-remake, does that hold up now? Or
answer's yes. Unequivocally yes.
Unequivocally, yeah. I don't know, man. That's crazy. Anyway, so okay, so that's my number 4, Mega Man 3. We're getting a little bit closer. We're going down in the middle here. So number 3, Joel, what is your pick?
Number 3 for me is going to be Persona 4/Persona 4 Golden.
Ooh.
So I said there might be controversy in these picks, and this is because Persona 5, spoiler alert, is not on my list, and Persona 4 is. So to reiterate, right, this is what's your 5. So I admit Persona 5's OST is probably better musically.
Right.
I think I read one review and the term they used was acid jazz for the genre.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
Persona 5. Persona 5 is awesome. The soundtrack's great. I have the Riddell rags on me for having CDs. I have the CD.
Yep.
For Persona 5 and Persona 4, and I listen to it all the time.
Right.
So the reason I went with Persona 4, Persona 4, for those of you, I know many of you have heard the soundtrack. It's J-poppy, it's hip hop, it's rock, it's I would say it's more like junk food music. It's really kind of corny.
Yeah, bubblegum pop style.
Bubblegum pop, good.
Yeah, Backstreet Boy, all that good stuff. Yeah, everything that I love. Continue.
But what ties me to this soundtrack, and it's kind of what we talked about earlier. Persona 4 and Persona 5 are two very different games to me in terms of feel. Persona 5 has a very clear message and main story. Those crappy adults. And,
adults suck. Continue.
And rebelling and taking down the system of trying to oppress me.
Yep.
Persona 4, there is a main story. The main story, there's a murderer in your town and you're trying to find out what's happening.
Right.
But to me, that's the side story. The main story of Persona 4 are your buddies.
Yep.
Going to a new town, friendships. They did much more character development, in my opinion, Persona 4 than Persona 5.
Absolutely.
What I love about this OST is when I listen to it, it reminds me of remember those high school / early college days where you didn't work yet, but you had a car.
Yeah.
And it was summer and you had you and your buddies would, hey, what do you want to do today? You would just do whatever you want and hang out and
no bills, no
bills, no. Maybe you have a part-time job, but that's it. No responsibilities.
Yep.
And it was just it was a carefree moment in everyone's life. I think that's what this throws me back to. They go to the beach when they get their scooters.
Yep. Or they go snowboarding.
They go snowboarding. They
totally.
They eat watermelon and all these silly things that it's it's heartwarming.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It makes me feel good. The soundtrack makes me feel good. Persona 5 makes me kind of upset sometimes because of the context of the songs, right? And it gets me riled up, but it's great. It's a great soundtrack. But Persona 4 makes me feel good. An example of how good I feel when I listen to this. Riddell, I'll put you on the spot. What is your what do you always bag on me about Japanese media that I do?
Japanese media that you do. Oh my goodness.
I'll narrow it down. What do you always tease me about my my anime watching habits?
Oh man, dude, you watch anime in dubs in English.
Dubs with English subs only. If I have to, I do English or I do Japanese with English dubs. But my preference is English dubs with English subs. That's how I consume my anime. I'm fully guilty.
Guilty.
There's a song on this track called "Your Affection." Before I actually got the CD and got a backup of it on my computer and all this kind of stuff, right?
Which, by the way, thank you for letting me download that. Continue.
Of course. Backups to share. So I never knew what this girl was saying. I didn't know if it was English, if it was your affliction, your special, your affliction.
Yeah.
But I sang along and I didn't know what I was saying because the song was so damn good.
Yeah.
Walking around Inaba. There was no Persona 5 had a quick travel system where you could travel to places.
Yep.
Oh, Persona 4 you're walking. And I jam out to Your Affection for, 3 minutes while I walk to this area.
We walk to the plane, talking to people,
Exactly.
trying to find the clues. Yeah,
Exactly. That's and Heartbreak are probably my two favorite tracks on.
Yeah,
on,
I was about to say. Yeah, Heartbreak. Yeah, Heartbreak was probably it's one of the best jams. I listen to that in the car, which is and in fact my nephew listens to that in the car. I remember he came over to my house one time. He just blasting it in his car. I'm like, wow, all right, I'll agree with this. It's okay because I listen to it too. You definitely, again, we talked about this in the beginning of the show. You got me into Persona. When I played Persona 5, I loved it. And then when Persona 4 came out, when I had a PS Vita / TV, thanks again, Joe, I was trying to play it on there, and I was like, I don't know if I can really play it. Then they re-released it on PC, which, by the way, I'm not sponsored, but everybody should play that damn game. It's only $15, one of the best JRPGs ever made. Persona 4 was just amazing. Soundtrack-wise was fantastic. Gameplay, good. Yeah, five was way better. But man, you picked such a good track. The two best tracks on there. I mean, I would have definitely said I would kind of traded off Your Affection for Time to Make History, just because it just hypes me up. But I mean, either way, you're still going. Either way, you're not going wrong. And I love the soundtrack was amazing. In fact, that's one of the albums that Joel got me. Thank you again to get me into this hot habit. And it's just such a good soundtrack to listen to. I listen to it when I'm working at home, just playing it on the record player. You can play it from start to finish, no issues at all. And I'm able to do that, without question. I would be able to listen to this on an island, in space, whatever, and I would also feel the same feels because I actually just played it recently. I beat it, what was it, a couple months ago, and such a good game to play. In fact, if you guys haven't played it, play it. It's such a good game. Good choice, man. Good choice. We're gonna keep going. For my list, we're gonna keep going old school. Now, Persona 4 is fairly old school. What? How year?
2008,
12,
I believe.
2008. Oh wow.
PS2 version. PS2. Remember? That's right.
Because you did beat it in PS2, and then you played Golden.
They played the Vita version later.
Gotcha. So I'm going back to SNES, and I'm sorry for all of you that are listening. I know there's a lot of Genesis games that are really good, but I'm sorry, man. I just love playing my Super Nintendo. This is again one of the highly sought after OSTs around the vinyl community, and I do not have it. So just so you know, I'm looking for it, but not to spend in one of these or one of my legs, but it's going to be one of the best Square Enix games of all time, Chrono Trigger.
Surprised it's 3 on your list.
Trust me, man, it was tough, dude. this list, and when you said, "Oh yeah, I got my list," in 4 hours, I'm like, dude, you don't got your list, man. Like you got to think about this one because there's a lot of soundtracks that are out there. And
my list changed on Friday. Spoiler alert.
I'm telling you, dude. And that's the thing. Every time I have a guest or, whenever I talk to Anthony or talk, now I'm going to be talking to Joe for a little bit with the whole gaming, resident gaming host thing. I got to give him a topic in advance to be like, okay, look, here's a week. Give you some thought because it gives me a week to think about it and go from there. And Chrono Trigger was definitely up there. I would have said number 2 or number 1, but personally, I may have beaten this game at least 4 or 5 times in my lifetime, and of course I've beaten it with different endings and all that stuff, but the music is definitely gripping. There's a lot of, dramatic fare to it and a lot of different sounds to it that are just so beautiful when being played. One of my favorite songs actually in this game, believe it or not, is the Gato song. If you guys don't know what the Gato song is when you go to the Millennium Fair, which is the way beginning of the game, you fight this big robot and he sings a song to you, and I don't know what the words are. Don't ask me. And it just has a really catchy tune. It's like ding, 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 and it just sounds like a Japanese game show, right? I don't know, but it was just really good. And playing the game throughout, you know, you have the feels, man. You know, when things go down, when you have to change time, you have to, it's I know Joel's a huge time travel nerd, right? Like you look at theories and you're like, no, that doesn't make sense.
I hate time travel because it's way too damn messy.
Yeah, see, exactly.
But go on, Riddell,
but that's kind of what I meant. And you know when you have to change things in certain times, spoiler alert, Chrono dies, and you have to do all this stuff, and you're just like, whoa, I can't believe that happened. And like, it's, when the main character does that, you're just like, holy crap, like what's going to happen now? And then you have all these different avenues and facets that you can do when you play the game and beat the game. And, and to accompany that, again, you have, I want to say, I got to say it. I got to look it up because I'm dumb. I want to say, did Nobuo Uematsu do the soundtrack? If you can,
I'm not sure.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Yeah, to Riddell's point, what I really remember of Chrono Trigger. So, I was not of older age when the SNES console came out. So the games were a little slim. I first played Chrono Trigger on PS1 when they re-released them.
Wow.
Tying back to OSTs and emotion, right? One thing I distinctly remember is that track when you first time travel forward and you get to the world and it's like a desolate wasteland.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, what the hell happened?
you finally like leave the building and it's like everything's destroyed. Yep. And like that's when it's like, as a PS1, I'm doing some math here, when I was like 10 or 11.
Youngin.
It was one of these.
Yeah, I was like mind blown, right? You're like, what happened? How did this happen? Wow. Mm-hmm. I always thought, it's funny you say that. You said PS1. I was thinking, I'm like, man, I swear I was like, did you play it on emulator? Because I swear, like, you were young back then when that came out. But yeah.
Yeah, so I played FF5 and Chrono Trigger on PS1.
Right.
I beat Chrono Trigger on emulator.
No, that's what I remember. I remember saying that. But you know what though? That's okay. You know what? Because you have a stickler for the classics. Square back then, it wasn't Square Enix back then. Squaresoft. That's right. Was the jam. They were just cranking them out one way or another. They just had game after game after game. And for the record, Nobuo Uematsu did do the soundtrack, so that would explain why this soundtrack is probably one of the greatest soundtracks ever made. This gets played all the time on my computer, not on vinyl because I don't own it. Again, I want to make sure that that's on record. And
I think you need both arms if you want to get that right now.
Oh, Jesus, man, arms and legs and firstborn child, and and so it's just it was one of those beautiful made moments in games where every single part of the game had a song that was just so like, meaningful, like Frog's theme, right? Frog's. I
was gonna call on Frog's theme if you didn't.
Yeah. Where it has like the the flute in the background, and you just like, I was like, whoa, that sounds super cool. And he was big hero and all that stuff. So I'm like, man, it's good stuff, man.
It's like that mix of like majestic, but like a twinge of heartbroken almost.
Oh yeah.
So
it's definitely good. So. Cool deal. So let's my number 3. We're getting a little bit closer now to number 1. Number 2, Joel, what do you have?
Riddell, what's my favorite game of all time?
Final Fantasy 7, because I am your best friend.
Is Final Fantasy 7.
Yes. Ooh, Mr. Vinyl remake.
Square, stop making picture discs. For one, they sound horrible. For two, you get terrible jackets.
Yeah.
So please stop. And I'm sure you charge more because of picture discs.
Yeah.
So, number 2. Spoiler: this was my number 1. Like the 4 hours after you texted me, and I switched this to number 2 on Friday.
Nice.
Final Fantasy 7.
What can you not say about it? But by the way, I will say though, I'm very, very curious on what your number 1 is because I was thinking that this was your number 1. So continue.
Slam dunk, right? Slam dunk.
Like slam dunk. That was easy, man. But yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 is a very special game for me. It's my favorite game of all time. Final Fantasy 7 remake. I don't care about the sucky side quests and the repetitive gameplay. Is my favorite game of the PS4 era.
Yep.
Okay. I love it. Advent Children is one of my favorite movies. I know it's strange because it it's not that good, but it's one of my favorite movies.
I don't care what anybody says, man. That Tifa fight was still amazing, and I'll tell you that every single time we talk about that dang movie.
Dude, the extra content. If you haven't watched it with the extra content, find the backup and watch it because it's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7. So my note here, I only have one line. It's in all caps. So many bangers. There are so many. So in FF7, they're still going on with the well, similar to Chrono Trigger, right? Where they had a song for each town, a song for each person.
Yep.
This changes later, but in FF7 was still kind of in that style. So what like. If you listen to each song per person, like Tifa's theme, my Final Fantasy waifu that Redell mentioned.
Yes.
If you never play the games, you think of she's like the Japanese Lara Croft, right? She has the big pixelated
chest area. Yes.
Yeah, chest area. Yes.
Yes.
She somehow wears a mini skirt and does karate and fights.
Yep, that's true.
But if you actually, play through the game, learn the story, her personality is a caretaker. She takes care of people. She's I want to say a motherly figure, but she cares about her team. She's the caring person.
Right.
And her theme reflects that. Her theme is not like a sultry, jazzy, sex pot kind of character. It's a very, you walk into a bar and you hear that theme, like, this doesn't match with a bar. This is Tifa's bar. At Tifa's bar, she feeds you, she talks to you, she listens to your problems, and she throws you a strong drink.
Yep.
And then there's the big ones everyone knows, One Winged Angel. It's the closer for all Distant Worlds concerts.
Yeah.
Aerith's theme I still feel a knot when I hear those first few notes. The materia. Spoiler alert: the material falling down and the unspeakable happening.
Unspeakable.
But besides that, there's some gems. Casa del Sol.
Oh,
I can sit on a beach and listen to that on loop.
Oh,
the Junin theme, I don't know the track name, sorry. But the Junin theme, like I feel patriotic for a energy company listening to the Junin theme. It makes zero sense, but I do.
It's all like SDG&E forever.
right, exactly, right. I want to, commit my life to SDG&E.
Yeah, forever.
Gold Saucer, World Market.
Yeah.
On and on. Cosmo Canyon, one of the best tracks of all time. Cosmo Canyon.
Wow.
Fight On, the boss
the boss theme, not
was my ringtone for like 6 or 7 years. FYI.
We still
so
make
good,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, those opening guitar riffs. I scramble for my phone every time I hear it, even if it's no longer my ringtone. Final Fantasy 7. I actually love the remake soundtrack too, but we're only 1/3 through it, I think. So I didn't want to add that being incomplete.
That's true. Yeah.
Number 2.
Point. All right, so if you're gonna throw that type of curveball on number 2, I got to do the same then. So my number 2 is, again, you guys heard me say this a million times before. It's near and dear to my heart, and I will never, ever, ever be able to walk into any arcade without hearing this in my brain, which is the original Street Fighter 2 soundtrack, CPS-1. Pretty simple, simple, cut and dry. I mean, this game pretty much defined my childhood, and it, brought on a lot of fights with my brothers. It brought along a lot of, friendships with people that I've known now. And, with this game, with the original Street Fighter 2, I remember getting my ass whooped by my dad because I went to the arcade because I walked by myself and I was like 9.
I thought you were going to say your dad whipped you in Street Fighter 2, but
no, it was not. No, I wish it was in Street Fighter 2. Instead, it was with the belt. and it was something that is always been there, and I love listening to. I can listen to Guile's theme all day and just get myself hyped up. It's like I just want to run. I just want to run, just go, or eat some chicken. One of the two. I don't know, because it goes with anything. And Balrog's theme. You got Vegas theme, which is really dope. And every song on there is a banger. I mean, it's so definitive. You can listen anytime you hear a song from there. You already know it's like, oh, that's Street Fighter 2. Oh, that's Chun-Li's song, or like, oh, that's Blanca's song. With the whole with the whole drums and all that. Or you have the American guitars with the Guile theme, or you have like the kind of the taiko drums with Ryu's song. It's just, there's so many different bangers in that, and you remember the stages that you played on. You remember all the arcades that's lined up on there. I mean, I'm sure you've been to Tilt when it was still there, I think. Like,
Oh, the homie hooked it up. We got a quarter stuck, and he hit the button for us like 8 times.
There you go.
For Marvel, and yeah.
I'm just saying, it's just there's so many different iterations of the soundtrack, but the original Street Fighter 2 just has what they could do with that board. Again, this goes back to episode 8 with Johnny Phrase. What they did with that board to make all these sounds was just mind-blowing to me on how they're able to, generate all of this music together. And it's so iconic how they did it. And now you just, you hear it and you're just like, oh, I'm instantly in the arcade again. So easy choice, but that's my number 2. I'm hoping that you have some type of like, what the hell is this number 1? Or maybe you might know, I don't know, but that's my number 2.
I have a feeling, but I wouldn't have put it at number 1, so maybe I'm probably guessing wrong.
Okay.
But before we go to number 1, I have a question for you, Riddle.
Yes, sir.
So I am not a fighting game connoisseur.
Yes, sir.
The only one I really got into, and it was because buddies loved it, was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yes, sir.
And the only thing I remember about that OST is that some girl wants to take me for a ride. That's the only
damn right. Oh yeah.
So and you kind of touched on it and explained it, but what, in your opinion, makes a great fighting game OST? As I mentioned earlier, I think Mark talked on it on one of your episodes.
Yeah.
The center of fighting games is the gameplay, where they tighten. It's a competition in a cartridge.
Yep.
So there's not character development. There's not. There's a really minimal story.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that I tie to when I think of a good OST.
Right.
So what makes a great fighting game OST in your opinion?
So I think one of the factors in a fighting game soundtrack or a fighting game OST is the bass hits, right? It's something that it gets you pumped, it gets you going. And we talked about this again. This was in episode 8, where you have, like, say for example, Guilty Gear, where it's like guitar riffs, and you're just like, it's really hard guitar riffs. You can't play a fighting game and have like piano tunes. The jazz. It's funny because in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, when you say you got to take it for a ride, a lot of people didn't like that album, but when you really think about it, you played that game and you heard the jazzy tones, and you just like, wow, this is so good, and it fits. I don't know how it did, but it fit. And so I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that when you're playing the game and you're hearing all the sounds of the player getting hit, but at the same time you're hearing it to a soundtrack, and that's the soundtrack. But it's all upbeat, all up tempo. There's no pauses in between. It's just all high pumped, high energy sound. I'm trying to think of a fighting game that had some lower dramatic sounds, and I think any of those games didn't have nearly as much impact as Street Fighter, or I think Mortal Kombat had maybe some good low tone sounds in the beginning, like in Mortal Kombat 1, but in Mortal Kombat 2 they started to bring it up a little bit higher, and it got a little bit more tribal, and then you start hearing like and I think again it comes back to drums. The drums are just the ones that are just like do 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 do, and then get your heart beating, and you're like, oh, this is gonna happen. Or when my son, when he hears the song for like Mario running out of time, like he starts to get his pump going, he starts running like, oh no, I'm about to run out of time. So stuff like that. It's tempo and drum beats. That's what really gets the fighting game soundtrack going from there. That's what I think. But
you're not playing a fighting game to the I Am Setsuna soundtrack, right? That does not fly. You're not playing a fighting game to the I Am Setsuna soundtrack.
No way. No, I mean, like, you're only
you might fall asleep halfway through.
Yeah, you're only listening to that soundtrack if you're waiting for your turn. That's the only way you'll remember like what songs, like, oh, that was blah blah blah. Yeah, so that's what happens. So great question though. That's a good one. So let's kind of move it a little bit. So before we get to number 1, I want to ask you, was there any honorable mentions before you hit number 1?
Yes. I guess just a small handful.
Okay.
Bastion was originally on my list until it got booted from my for my number 1.
Okay.
Persona 5, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
One of my rules before I made my list was one per series. So I was like, I didn't want it to be all right, my top 5 are FF4, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, go home. But I broke that rule. Spoiler. So a few of my honorables. What about you, Riddle?
Me, I'd have to say, so Persona 5 is definitely one of them. What else did I have on here? Mega Man 2 was another one. Oh man, there's another good one. What was I just listening to the other day? I can't think of it. I'll probably put it in the comments later, but no, but I think Mega Man 2 was definitely one of them. It's like I said, I wanted to put that on there, but again, I had your rule, which was I didn't want to put another series on there unless I absolutely had to, but it's really tough to do.
Yeah.
But that was, those were at least my two. So Persona 5, Mega Man 2, those were definitely up there in my top, my honorable mention. So let's go ahead and get to it, man.
All right, number one,
sir.
Add your hate. If you're on YouTube, add your hate in the comments.
Come on. I want to see
that
I
of
wanna
our
see
reviews if you're on podcast. Number one,
hit me. I want to see the hate mail in the comments.
Final Fantasy 8.
I'm taking my headphones off right now. I can
Final Fantasy 8.
Wow. Are you serious? Really?
I'm serious.
Wow. I can't.
I'll let it soak in a little bit.
I'm trying to soak this in. Because the only song I can remember from the only song I remember from that album or from that game was the intro. I'm sorry, I take that back. There's 3 songs: the intro, Balam Garden, and what is it? Was it Suteki Dini? No, that was Final Fantasy 10. Oh God, what was it? Eyes on Me.
Eyes on Me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eyes on Me. But wow, man, really? Final Fantasy 8? It took over Final Fantasy 7?
Yep.
Wow.
All right, so let me. I guess I'll put some context into here.
Yeah, please. Yeah, go. Come on. I need to know this.
So I was writing my notes. It's Tuesday or Wednesday. Up. Here's why I like this. Here's why I like this. I went to FF7. I put what I mentioned in my FF7 blurb. And I was like, yeah, those. One Winged Angel. It's iconic. It's always the distant world's closing. It's the opening. It's always Libri Fatali, and I think that song might be better.
Oh, that's okay. Wow. Yeah.
All right, and then I went, okay, Aerith's theme, I never get that emotional impact from any other song.
Right.
Except for maybe Eyes on Me. And, and the variations, Julia, Love Grows, they're just different remixes of Eyes on Me, right? It's piano here and other here too. And then I said, oh, but it can't match the side tracks like Costa del Sol and Gold Saucer. Like, you know what? Balam Garden and Fisherman's Horizon are better than both of those.
Wait, Fisherman, right? Is that the song when you get to like the second town? The guitar?
It's the town that they're like peace loving, and you crash Balaam into them after you go in the water. But it is a great. Yeah, it sounds crazy. It's a great song.
I was thinking of Zell's. I was thinking of Zell's house or Zell's town. It's because it's like the second town.
The actual Balaam town.
Yeah, the actual Balaam town. Yeah. Yes.
Fight On is still my favorite battle theme.
Right.
No, it's actually Man with the Machine Gun. That is my favorite battle theme of all time. Like, hands down, no questions asked.
I will say the Distant Worlds version of Man with the Machine Gun is great. I love the flute, the flute part, because it was at the yeah. So yeah,
I could literally put that on a loop and go to the gym. For all I haven't been to the gym in years, but if I were to go, I could put that on loop. So it was weird, right? Because I've always loved the FF8 soundtrack. Yeah. But so I default say 7's my favorite.
Sure.
And I said, wait, all these songs are better. How can I say 7's my favorite and all these songs are better? I don't know, I actually I played FF8 on release. I loved it too. I love them not equally.
For different reasons.
If we're strictly talking about OST,
right,
FF8's better.
Wow, man, that is very surprising. I know you really enjoyed the game a lot, and we always talk about it every time, whether we're chatting or talking to each other. But like, I would have never guessed that one. Never.
I love the game, but it's like it's at least 5th on my favorite Final Fantasies. So it's not my favorite.
By the way, for those of you who are listening, that will probably be one of the topics that we'll be discussing sooner or later. But yeah, that's okay. Good deal. I gotta say then, man, if we're if we're going that route and we're gonna have to just finish it off, and I'm sure everybody listening is gonna be like, "Wow, guys, really? You guys have no other, choices in the world?" I gotta go with my number one. Number one, it's easy as pie. You guys know it from episode 4, Final Fantasy 6. Easy peasy, man. Every single song in that album was a banger. Hands down. And in fact, that was actually one of the other albums that Mr. Joel provided to me because he knew how much I loved that game, and he knew how many songs I would just go gaga for every single time I heard that damn soundtrack. Phantom Forest, Locke's theme, Sabin's theme, Kefka's theme. Every character in the game had a dope song to them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I can probably say the only person I can't really think of that would probably didn't really have that much of a great soundtrack, but still was pretty good anyway, was Umaro, which was the big snow guy. But even then, like, I'll listen to Go-Go's theme all the time. Like when you go inside the what was it, the Zone Eater, and like you just get eaten by the worm and you're looking for Go-Go, that theme gets stuck in my head every day. You're just like and you're just like jumping through treasure chests and fighting people and all that stuff. But man, it is one of the most to me the most iconic Nobuo Uematsu soundtracks ever made, and every feeling of evocation that I can think of has gone to that game. And I remember one time I was playing it so much that I was like talking to the characters in the game, like, oh yeah, you should get this theme and get that. And my mom walks in and is like, who the hell are you talking to? I'm like, the game. So, Searching for Friends is probably one of my favorite songs of all time in that game. It just gets you pumped up to look for your friends, and you're in the airship and you're just flying around like crazy. Oh, so good. So good. I'm still getting over the fact that Final Fantasy 8 is number one, just so you know.
I've always wanted to ask you an FF6 question, Riddell.
What's that?
So disclaimer, I also did not play FF6 until I played it on PS1.
The slow version.
The inferior version. I heard SNES with replacing text is the best version. But
yes, absolutely.
If you visit any Final Fantasy forum and have these kind of fanboy hate arguments, you can almost always say they love this game because of age demographic. It's almost always first or second one you played.
Right.
Anyone under 30 is going to say FF10 is their favorite.
Wait, you said everybody under 30. You said FF10 is your favorite.
10.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Everyone in their early 30s will say something 7 or 8.
Right.
Everyone, sorry, Riddell, older than that would probably say 6.
Yep.
So I only beat 6 once, and I was older, and I already love 7. So disclaimer here. What makes the opera scene so emotional compared to other Final Fantasy scenes that actually someone dies or someone falls in love or someone is going to die Explain this to me, because everyone always tells me.
I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm going to tell you right now. I thought that scene in particular was pretty garbage. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I'll tell you why. Because you're talking to this general who looks like an opera singer, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, I can sing opera now and sing absolutely horrible, but this guy's going to come up and save me anyway. I never thought that it was very emotional for me. The only thing I thought that was kind of cool was, when Locke came down and like tried to save her, and like they tried to do the whole, improvisation deal. But to be perfectly honest with you, that's some super fanboy stuff. And I've
heard that argument, right?
Yeah, I have heard that argument. It is not nearly as emotional as, say, Aerith, Aerith in end of disc 1. Yeah, end of disc 1.
Disc 1. Mm-hmm.
End of disc 1. Or I don't know what's another one, or the ending
going to Xanarkand and knowing
exactly.
That
I was about to say, like going to Xanarkand, like that right there was, oh man, I nearly cried at the end of FF10. Nearly cried.
Oh, when she tries to hug him and she falls through.
Yes, or or when you see Titus and his dad like give like the high five at the end. I was like, oh my god, that's so awesome.
I'm like, oh, that ceiling, it looks super interesting here.
Oh man, it was so good. But yeah, and shout outs to FF10. That had a great soundtrack too. But like I said, I will come back to, I'm sorry for all my FF6 fans. It was not that emotional to me. In fact, it was just another scene. What was more emotional to me in that game in particular is when Terra doesn't want to fight anymore. And then, Fumbaba comes in, like, and starts, like, messing with all the kids. Then she's, like, goes in, like, oh, she's going to morph and, like, go to town on this dude. That was more emotional to me than the Opera House scene, to be honest with you. That was just my personal.
Good to hear. I was always confused about that. I didn't know if it was a context thing, because I played it once and I was young when I listened to the story. But
you're okay. Trust me.
Okay.
You're a grown ass man. You're okay.
Final Fantasy card not revoked. All right.
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
No, not at all. Final Fantasy, like I said, people say 7, people say 6. It's totally fine with that. When you say, my favorite Final Fantasy was like Final Fantasy 3, like in Japan, then I'm gonna be like, I don't know about that, but like
when you hear 13 wasn't that bad, yeah.
shout outs to you, person that you say that 13 wasn't that bad. You know who you are. Terrible. Tell us what you guys think on the comments below. That's our show for this recording. What are your 5? Leave us a comment as well. Don't forget to click on the like and subscribe button. Make sure that you click on the link for the giveaway to enter. Again, you're going to miss out on this lovely joystick over here that I'm holding. And for us listeners, or for your listeners, that you should be able to listen to what I'm holding to. But I would love to hear what you guys think. So with Joel, I think he did a fantastic job tonight to be able to talk to me about his favorite video game OSTs. Again, if you have any more topics to suggest, or if you guys want to be on the show, by all means, please reach out to me at topics@whatsyour5.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I can't stress that enough. You can also reach us at the Twitter, whatsyour_5. You can also reach us at the Instagram, whatsyour_5, and Facebook. Other thing is whatsyour_5 FB. So with that out of the way, my name is Rodell. That's Joel. Thank you guys again for listening. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.